This is going to be a quick overview of my sketchbook just so I can add in a few things. There's a few more things that need to be added, but those will be the very endings and the book binding, and it all being put together will be done tomorrow. But for now, just looking through this since I need to hand it in tomorrow. So this is my mind map for illustration, and as you see I've got different sections here such as technical skills associated with illustration. Here are some of them. Materials needed / associated with illustration. Safe working practices. Illustration and diverse roles within it. Social, ethical, environmental and global trends. Roles and responsibilities within illustration practice. Professionalism and behaviours of practitioners. And we've got how practitioners operate, including target audience, terminology and conventions, professional routes into illustration, and considerations for selecting illustration. And here we've got a research part, which says, for this assignment I would like to explore designing book covers. I don't particularly mind what sort of book I design. It can be like a comic, manga, colouring book, written novels or children's book, but I'd like to redesign a cover that already exists but in my opinion is ugly or just needs overall improvement. To do this I'd probably have to read the book, which I guess is a part of the research aspect. I did end up not doing that. I ended up actually making a colouring book, so the design of a book is still there, it's just slightly reimagined. And here's some artists I've done research on. Let's see, in fact I'm not going to try and pronounce the name. Edinburgh-based filmmaker, director and illustrator. Here's some of the works. I quite like the art style, as you can see later on, and the art style is quite sort of, not this style, but cartoony. It sort of mixes everything together a bit. There's this one. And this one, I think this one's one of the most similar to what I've done because it's all in black and white and it's women and sort of maybe horror aspect, but unnatural aspects, definitely. As you can see, all these artists draw women, just like I have. Oh. But they've all got a similar style to me. And here's colour theory. Since I still thought I'd be doing a book cover, I did do the cover for my book, but it's not the thing I'm solely focused on, it's more the context. But I did colour theory because it's important that when you see this in a bookshop or just in a shop in general, you know, it draws your eyes, basically. Here's the colour wheel. Different colours and how they work together. And this is what sort of the deeper meaning of colours, how you mix colours, which I didn't really need. And here's analysing book covers, because I wanted to know what was sort of popular, what was happening really, how it's all laid out. I kind of got the idea to do a colouring book from this, because I realised, oh wait, I could do a colouring book, couldn't I? So that was really cool. I like this one. This is one of my favourites. I like these ones with the characters on. I tried to do a selection of different ones. See ones with people on the cover, more simpler ones. This one's just completely pattern. And here's the possible cover layouts. I ended up doing one like very similar to this, but this one was at the bottom. Okay. Oh, and this is the explanation of why I did the book covers. Well, analysed them. I went out to the shops to look at some book covers so I could get some ideas of what mine could look like. So I took photos of different types of books: written books, graphic novels, mangas, non-fiction, children books and colouring books. Seeing all these types of books inspired me to not only design a book cover but make a colouring book with the illustrations inside. Although it'll be a bit more effort, I feel like I need to connect with the book to redesign the cover, and I don't read much anymore as I dedicate most of my time to art. So this is sort of where the colouring book idea came from. So a little mind map on colouring book. And this is for the book anatomy. So I need a front cover and a back cover. Okay, this is where I got everything together, so I just sort of laid my ideas out and what I wanted to do. So what my plan is to make an adult colouring book in the theme of people, women specifically, with some occasional natural elements. This is the part where the monster girl theme hadn't come in yet. I also like to involve gothic undertones and fashion within it because it's something I'm interested in, and I feel like it's a demographic that is largely underrepresented in colouring books. I think as well that a lot of gothic / alternative people are into art and creativity, so it makes sense to make a colouring book. In my previous project, I feel as if I could have added more diversity to hairstyles, body shapes and features to my characters, so this time I'll do that, which I think I've successfully done. I feel like the hairstyles I could have done more, but I've done more variety than I did last time, but I've definitely made more body shapes, which is good. And this is what I'll need to do. Make an A5 illustration. I may make the colouring books into A4 actually. I've put all the things on a Word document, so I'll have to see how that goes. But I think I can do different versions because I don't have to have one final one. I just need to do sort of have multiple results. And this is my research into Kosh. It was a bit difficult to do this since with illustration there isn't much to do, which is dangerous, but I've done sort of generic Kosh, what Kosh is, and I tried to implement illustration into it and just art in general. But most of it is just stuff like, hey, make sure to have occasional breaks, or, you know, whatever. And here's some of the work I've been doing. I don't like most of these, so I did ditch most of them. Like this one I didn't like. I did end up using this one. Didn't like this one. I did end up using this one. I didn't use that one. I didn't use that one. But I used this one. In fact, let me say why I didn't use them. For this one, I think the legs are too long and she doesn't fit in properly. Plus, her pose is really awkward. And I don't like how that sticks wonky. I do quite like the background though. I didn't use her because her hair kind of looks like Bambi when her arms are too short, her hands are too small. And she's a bit boring. This one, I just think it looks kind of odd how her legs are cut off. But I do think it's quite cute. If I have time tonight, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to edit this, maybe fit in one more colouring page, because I wanted to do minimum 20, but I think I've got 25, but I mean, I was hoping to get 30, but 20 was the minimum. And I didn't like her because of the position of her arms. I think I didn't like the hair either. The outfit is a bit... And I don't like the way these legs are cut off. Same with these, I don't like the way the legs are cut off. Also, she's very... I don't like her anatomy, it's kind of odd. I do quite like this foreshortening with the hand though. And I like how it's political because Free Palestine. But I did later do another one for that, so... And this one, I changed this one a lot, but I did in fact use it. And this is a bit on sustainability. Sustainability in art refers to... Okay, in fact, I don't need to go over that. So this is how to be more sustainable in illustration, which is switch to digital tools. Use eco-friendly physical materials. went like recycled paper, non-toxic paints, and natural pigments, using every part of material. We're using supplies, recycling, and using energy-efficient studio practices. Promote sustainability. Be mindful of data storage. Okay. Avoid single-use plastic and borrow supplies and donate ones you don't need. And what I have / will do to be more sustainable: stop buying mechanical pencils because they're made of plastic and they break easily, which I have done. So let's see if I've succeeded in all of these. I don't use any toxic materials, which is true. I haven't bought any more materials actually. I'll digitally render my art. I did do that. I should try making the cover out of cardboard, which I did do, and don't waste materials, which I didn't do. I also did promote sustainability because I've worked at something the college held, which is like a charity shop, and it was about stopping fast fashion. And here's a little update, I guess. And I got quite a bit of peer assessment here. This is just from TikTok. And here's a bit more. This is the first digital art I did. Okay, this is the book theme, because at the moment I didn't really have a book theme. I actually did this after I decided the book theme, but let's see what it says. Right now, I do have a theme for my colouring book, which is a sort of gothic / alt girl theme, but it is a bit too generic because of this. All the illustrations are really different. Yesterday, I went to Comic-Con and got to see so many talented artists, so I got to gather some inspiration, some of which are monster girls. I'm not too sure why I never considered having this as my theme, as I've always been drawn to them, and even when I was younger, I loved this game called Monster Girl Maker, where you design characters. So overall, I'm slightly altering my theme, but it is pretty similar. It overlaps. And here's some of this is business cards from the con. And I thought this was pretty cool. And this is some things I already had of Monster Girls. I decided to revisit some childhood nostalgia and downloaded a Monster Girl Maker so I can get some ideas of what to draw. So as you can kind of see, this one is based off her. These are some designs I've made, but throughout the project I have used some of the features from this game to use as inspiration for my Monster Girls. See, look, there's the original of the digital one. I never finished that one. I didn't use this one either because I thought her shoulders were a bit too wide, her head was too small. I didn't like her face shape. I didn't like the pose for that one. I did do that digitally, and I did this one digitally. I guess the anatomy of that one wasn't great, and I did do this one digitally. In fact, wait a second. I need to use the bathroom. I am back and we are now on making the cover. So earlier I looked at what my book cover could possibly look like, so I decided on making a cover, which is one of the illustrations in the colouring book, but coloured, although I need to figure out how to actually make the full cover. So this is one of my ideas, which was to use cardboard. I will try this when I do it tomorrow, but I'll also try just hole punching, then just sticking them in a book as a layout, and also maybe doing a digital sort of one. I would do it professionally, but it costs quite a bit and it would take a while to do. And this is here where I decided I can do an inside cover, which is basically a cover. When you flip it over, there's another sort of introduction, which I quite like. Anyway, to do the cover and do this title, I do need possible titles, so I came up with some possible titles. Here are some of them, which is Monster Girls, an artistic colouring book, the illustrated book of Monster Girls, the Monster Girl Gallery, a colouring book, Monster Girls Ink and Colour, Monster Girls, a fantasy colouring book, the Ultimate Monster Girl colouring book, the Monster Girl colouring book, colouring anthology, and I ended up doing this one. Then I also decided on what I can do. I got inspiration from this book that I have and this one to do on the other side of the pages, to do a design or a pattern, so that I didn't have to do as many pages. It didn't have to be double-sided, but like one of the sides wasn't plain, but if it does ruin it, like the pen you use, if it does ruin it, it wouldn't matter as much because it's just one of these. So I guess this does count as a bit more research because I looked at Alice Oseman, which was there earlier, so I took inspiration for the inside cover from her. And this one. Okay, the bookbinding stuff isn't here right now because it makes my book really thick, and it makes it bend. So that isn't great, but it is in previous videos, so it's okay. And this is some analysis. Yeah, I guess analysis of what I could do better, and as well as the process, because it's important to show the process. Yeah. And this is the net shape thing, and it'd also be in there. And this is what I was doing for the cover. I've ended up not doing this, but what I was trying is having this as the cover and then having a title over it, but it doesn't look like I'll be doing that. There was some problems when transferring the images, so I couldn't print them off without the quality going bad when it was coloured. Well, properly coloured, so I can try it with this, but I fear the quality won't be great, so we'll have to see what happens. But I've experimented with different colours here. All the analysis are next to them, and I've gone over it before. But you can pause it if you need, because I'm making sure, in case you couldn't read any of the pictures, if they weren't good enough quality, that you can at least see it in this video. And here's another one, other colours I've tested out with. And this is, I did have some problems printing, but I figured it out. But I think this paper was too thick, so it's good that I knew that before doing the actual book, because that would have been so much paper wasted, and that wouldn't have been sustainable. So I'm glad I've got these printing issues like this out of the way. Because see, look, in some places it just, and a lot of them got stuck. See, look, this has been cut off by the printer. But I figured it out, so I think that's really good. That's why we experiment. This is a mood board. It does have a theme of monster girls, but I really want to take a bit more inspiration. And this is where I got it from. It's from Yami Kawaii, which is a sort of aesthetics / fashion design. Well, fashion, yeah. Okay, and I've gone through this research before, but let's just zoom into it. Like I said, you can pause it if you need. Okay, and this is where I started working on the repeated patterns, which I mentioned previously, to have on the back side of the illustrations I've done. And I did do a bit more research on this artist. It was only a small amount, but she is a Korean animator known for her Yami Kawaii animations, so she worked in this style. This is what her stuff looks like. I like how sort of cute it is, but it's also quite graphic. See, if you look here, she's just like chopped in half, and I mean, I don't think she's having a fun time. You can see how I've gotten the inspiration in my later works. I've skipped a bit too far. And this is a bit more on Joe Sipu and how I've actually got inspiration from my characters from her, which I actually ended up going into, well, this has been changed and done digitally, but I've taken inspiration from her, from this character, well, from this character, which has been developed, well, which I've sort of gotten inspiration from and developed over the years. You can also see how much better my art's gone. You can see the resemblance to Yami Kawaii, like the heart, the bandages, the pills, plasters, syringe. Ooh, that one's, I don't like that one. And this is a planner I did for Christmas, just so I could organise my work. It even says here what I'll need to do. I've got another side to that as well. Anyway, back in inside cover, I started to use, this is the inside cover I ended up doing. There's a digital version and I've made another version of this because I just didn't like it. And here's my primary source photos. I unfortunately didn't get to have many, but I did base some characters. Like I based a character off this cat. Look how cute, it's got a butt. I like this shell. I sort of designed a lot of the hair off it because it's curly like this. So if you see the spider one, it's got this looking hair. And here's the spider I based it off of. Pigeon. I like pigeons. I think I did two sort of goat themed sort of characters, sheep themed. I did an octopus girl as well. And here's Bud. I took inspiration from these wings because it was a really good picture. Well, it's sort of cut out, but see, look at those wings, they're gorgeous. Also, for the cover, I had to think about the fonts I'd use. And I ended up going on this one. I've gone over all of this as well in previous videos. And here is some other, well, not other, but this is me working on what design I want on the back of the, oh, dang it, on the back of the illustrations. I've got some analysis of this later. And this is some digital ones I did. And this is the pack of page design. Well, this is a recap of it, so basically what these are for and why. It's got the pros and cons of the digital versus traditional. And here's the analysis. I have gone through this analysis, but if I haven't, here's what they are. In fact, I should probably do it like this so you can see both together. Pause it if you need. But I don't think reading all of this out is necessary when you can just see the writing right in front of you. This is where I've redone the inside cover. It looks a lot better, I think. Oh, and here's the digital one. I do have it coloured. I'll put that on the blog in a bit. But I'm quite happy with it. Okay, this is a digital rendition. So at this point I was like, okay, got to do a bit more art. She does come in a bit. She's relevant in a bit. Oh, I was talking about Peter Richardson here. There's a bit of research on that later. I don't really like this one, really. I think I've made her arms a bit too long. Yeah, I've done analysis on this one as well. Ah, yes, here she is. And here's the Peter Richardson research. I take a lot of my inspiration from this artist. He's just really amazing. And I love how recently he's been posting more political things, stuff like anti-ICE, Free Palestine, Black Lives Matter. It's just, I think as an artist you really need to do that. You need to use your art for good, I guess. But he designed t-shirts originally, and then he made a book off the characters that he drew. So that's kind of what I've done. I've designed characters, and I did this lino with with metallic paint. Doesn't it look cool? But I did lino, and I printed it onto fabric to see what it'd look like as a shirt. Here's some analysis. And since I didn't want it, I only had one piece of this fabric. I didn't want to waste all the lino I just did, so I also did it on paper. And here's a little process of the lino. And I also stitched into a fabric. I guess I had two of these fabrics. As you can see, this is the other design that I did earlier, but I really like it. So look, you can see all the stitching. It's pretty cool, but in some places, like, it's knotted up or there's a bit of loose thread. But I really like how it came out. And here's a bit of process. That's what it looked like halfway done. Started doing a lot of drawing here. This is just me saying, oh, because of the binding and I want the pages to actually be the correct size, I can't do one here. But this is the original of this one. As you can see, this one's a lot better. I just really don't like the pose on it, and she looks a bit odd and her arms are too short. Didn't end up using this one. I explained it in the video before. Same with this one. I have explained all of these recently, so there's not really much need to go into that one. I 100% know I have explained it. This is one of my favourites. Oh, see, look, you can see the swirls, where the swirls come in. And look, the spider, there's the fangs, the eyes. Ah, wait, this is the octopus I've gotten inspiration from. Oh, I've missed this page. Oh, God. Yeah, sort of goat / sheep. This is inspiration from my OC / Joe Sipu. And this is the wings from the seagull. Ah, peer assessment. I got more peer assessment online since Matt. Hello, Matt. I assume you're the one watching this. Since Matt held my tutor held a meeting for us where we all had to present and then give analysis back. But I got really bad analysis. I got like 3 bits of analysis / peer assessment, and it all sucked. So I haven't even put that there because it was so useless. Everyone sucked. Yeah, I was gonna say no offense, but I'm offended they didn't listen. but yeah, here it is. As you can see, I got loads. And here's some analysis for the monsters I've done, because I eventually just started doing it digitally. But see, look, you can see how you saw this before and it didn't have the eye and the fangs, but I've changed that. Here's the analysis for it. I'll take a picture of this and it'll be going into the blog. But all of this will go into the blog. Oh, and at the top I've written what type of monsters. That just said monster, but this one, it's moth, based on a moth. This one's based off of a cow. This one's based off goat / sheep. I think they're very similar, goats and sheep. So that's kind of why I've just put them into one. See, look, like the hooves are really similar. This is a spider one. This is the angel / bird. You can see on the time lapses how I've changed everything in the process, so definitely check those out because they'll give a lot of insight to my process and what I've thought. Oh, next page, please. Can I? Thank you. We saw this one earlier. See, I've added small little things like 3 hearts as a nod to octopi. This is the octopus girl because they've got 3 hearts. So I've done little things like that in most of them, or at least quite a few of them. This is my least favourite one, and I wish it die. It's based off Baphomet, so we're just going to we're going to skip that one. It's the cat. As I said, I based one off the cat. And I'm not a huge fan of this one either, but at this point I still am on a time crunch, so the skeleton. Oh wait, I didn't look at this. Here's the analysis for this one. Is the skeleton. I'm really happy with this one, I just don't like the shirt. Here's a siren. Kitsune. Have I got any more? Ah yes, one more, which is a Medusa. I do have more, but I haven't been able to print them off, so I'll quickly show them on my iPad. Well, on the college's iPad, and then show you, well, just in real time say what I like and don't like about them. Okay, I'll be back in a second.